So the plug is glued. It's set up overnight. I worked today and I actually felt like doing something when I got off work. So I do have a little void there I may have to fill in, but keep in mind that the pickup will be cut back out of this, so a lot of this won't even be here anymore. But still, I don't want to halfway do it. But I've already put everything in, and it should be clamped enough for what I'm doing. All I'm going to do is run a tool path to surface this. I was going to use my regular router, but I thought, well, the whole point in this is to show the usage, or to show using the CNC to do this work, and how it actually makes it so much easier. But so if you recall, I put the center marks on here, and then there's one there, yeah, there and there, of course, all the way down. It's all the way down, and I remarked the center mark on the point here, right? And the first thing I did, I mean on the plug here, and the first thing that I did was I lined my piece to the x-axis so that it's parallel to the x-axis. And again, just so you'll see that, I'm going to drop this down and make sure that you can see it. Drop this down and see how it's fairly evenly aligned there. It doesn't have to be perfect. When I generated this tool path, I went 5 millimeters. I offset it 5 millimeters all the way around. Alright, so now I'm going to put it on 100, which is going to make it move 100 millimeters every time I hit the Y button. And then I'm going to go again, and then I'm going to go 10, and I'm going to bring this back. And the only reason I'm doing this way, you don't have to do it this way if you're good with your gamepad, your joypad, or whatever you're using on your CNC, if you have a CNC. But basically, I'm just going to oh crap, move this over, and see, I'm on the line now, and now, sorry, I'm trying to do this and operate the camera too. Now I'm going to drop the Z down where you can see it, and see how close the point is. See how close the point is to my pencil mark. And so that's plenty good enough, right? Okay, so that means I set the X there, you know, to start with, and that's why I had X0. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the bit up so it doesn't crash into this, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to Y100 and see how close I am there, right? Now I'm going to go Y10. Okay, and 10 more. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jog my bit, my Z-axis down to get my bit pretty close to the table, I mean to my plug here. And as you can see, I'm slightly off center, right? So I'm just barely off center. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put Y 1 millimeter and bump it back, and I think that's going to be more than close enough. And then what we're going to do is we are going to set our Y offset, or X offset, And now I'm going to pause it because I have to take this bit out, and then I'm going to zero the Z on the top of the instrument using an index card, and I'll explain that to you in just a moment. But let me do this. All I did was change the bit. I tightened the mill. I moved the mill over here onto the body. So what I did was I used this index card and this, and I touched off on that and brought my end mill down until I could feel drag on this, just like a feeler gauge. And then I zeroed the Z there. When I go to run this program, the first thing it's going to do is move over to home position. And this one is called 0.1 millimeter plug surface. And I'm going to open that. Okay. Alright, and what this is a pocket toolpath. And the only thing it's going to do is it's going to go down and it's going to cut this to 1 millimeter. I mean 0.1 millimeter below where I zeroed it, which should get us really close to the surface. Okay, so I'm going to execute this now, and we're going to hope for the best. Okay, so now, and by the way, I slowed the spindle down. I needed some fine dust to fill those little voids, so I let it run. I mean, yeah, I know it's not a best practice, but then I slowed it down to get my chip load right for my bit's sake. And right now, that's just barely, slightly proud of the body. And that's what I was hoping to accomplish, was to get it down enough that I could check it and ensure that I wouldn't be cutting it too deep if I stepped down 0.1 millimeters. And truthfully, I don't think I'm going to run this again on the machine. I got it close enough now that I can sand it without a hassle, and that's what I was hoping for. So I'm going to pause this now, or turn this off, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start. I'm going to sand this because I have to have it smooth enough with the surface, flush with the surface, enough that it's not going to be a problem for me to cut this neck pocket. This morning I came out to take a look, now that I had a chance to look and see what I actually was dealing with the position of the bridge and neck. And I think in this, you might be able to make my pencil marks out, but anyway, that's squaring off on the two outside saddles. Press these posts in for the tremolo. There's a pencil line here, and the reason that pencil line is here is because the gap is not even on the bridge, which really wouldn't matter that much, but whoever did this, if you look inside the cavity there, look inside here, you see how uneven that is. That's where someone came in later and freehanded it. This guitar may not have even had a tremolo to start with, I don't know, but this portion of the cavity has to be opened up because the tremolo bushing, where the bar goes in, this piece actually rubs in there. I'll slide it in there and show you, but when it comes out, it actually catches it. So I'm going to open that out and also even that out just for the aesthetics. Ordered a snake skin graphic that I'm going to probably put on it. A lot of people are probably wondering why I'm putting this work into this when I could have spent probably $60 and just used my Rhino and VCarve Pro software to generate toolpaths to just make a new body. But I'm actually just trying to make a point here that you actually can put in a little bit of work, use your wits, and turn a guitar that ordinarily you would expect to see been tossed aside, maybe even burned or thrown away, and you can turn it into a decent playing instrument. So anyway, and the neck, I had routed the pocket back after gluing this piece in, and you guys that watched the video, you know why I did that. And now it probably makes sense to you. Now you see how far back the pocket had to go. But the pocket is also not completely straight, and I figured that may happen. And that's the reason why I was doing this temporarily, just to fit this back where I can get my dimensions. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open this up, correct this problem, and then once I correct that and get the bridge where the where the tremolo actually can move up and down without snagging or anything, I'm not going to worry with the block just yet. This body wasn't designed for this, and I'll have to mill that aluminum block. I'll do that on my CNC machine, so it'll drop down into the cavity where someone can have an actual guard on. A cover on it again. And but what I'm going to do in the meantime is temporarily I'm going to put some screws in and put just a couple of springs. I'm only going to do this so that I can put the 2 E strings on, the number 1 and number 6. I'm going to go ahead and put the locking nut on, and go ahead and probably temporarily mount the tuners. In fact, this will be a good opportunity for me to go ahead and probably just mark and drill and everything for all the tuners, even though they'll come back off for the finish. But I need a tuner here, machine head. I need it here. I need it here. I need the nut. And then once I do that, I can see, well, how high are my strings? What is the action going to be on them with the neck set down in that far? I'm not planning on raising the neck up. I'm not going to do that, or at least I'm not planning at this point, because my preference is for the fretboard to be even with the body, and that's what I want this one to be like for whoever gets it. And once I temporarily do this and put these strings on, that's only going to be so that I have some way of gauging how straight the neck is compared to the bridge. It's not the orthodox method, but we're rebuilding a guitar. We're not building a new guitar. So, but even if you were building a new guitar and this was a set neck like what I'll be building, well, here, I guess this might be a good time to show that too. When I build these babies, when I build those and the other 5 models I have, even when you use a mortise and tenon, like this is a mortise and tenon design, even when you do this, you still really truthfully need to not cut any of this until after you fit the neck, because when the neck's not going to be just like 100% accurate where it goes in with the joint. I mean, it'll be close, but you really want to do that first, and once you have that where you can have the actual center line for the instrument, that's when you'll do the rest of it. But anyway, I'm not going to film doing this because I'm just going to do this with a router and a block. I'm going to double side tape a block up here, and I'm going to shave this down, and I'm going to do this part probably just real slow by hand and by eye, because I'm just going to be nicking this part here. Well, I don't know, I may just go ahead and tape blocks all the way around, but I'm not going to go through the trouble to build a template for this, because it wouldn't probably work on my other bridges anyway. So Alright, well that's what I'm going to do next. There was one quick thing that I wanted to show. I was going to go ahead and fix that really quickly before I cut it out, and I thought, well, maybe I should show people how I'm doing this. So I have this little scrap piece of plywood, and I'm using a scrap piece of plywood because it'll be real easy to chisel it off of there if it sticks to it. You can use wax paper, something this small. I'm not going to bother to do all that, but you can put wax paper on your whatever you're using, wood or aluminum or whatever you're going to use for edging. And anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack this with sawdust and CA glue, which is super glue basically, and backfill this before I carve it. I'm not going to just do this one, but I'm going to do this one now because I'm about to cut this out and it makes no sense to have to do it twice. But I do need to go ahead and fix this, so I was going to go ahead and just point that out because I forgot to. I caught myself before I went on with the video. So anyway, I'm going to do that, and tell you what, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to get the stuff ready and I'll just show you. I packed this area. I just dropped some Alder sawdust in it, and then I used my wood chisel just to pack it down. It's gonna sink in some, but I used my wood chisel to pack it down in there pretty good. Then I'm going to take some CA glue, and hopefully you can see this okay, and I'm just going to wick the CA glue in there. Now it's good and saturated with CA glue, and then I'm going to take a little bit of this fine sawdust and go across the top like so, okay, like that, and let that soak up the rest, and then I'm going to pack it down good and tight, and you know, of course some of it, and I'm glad, because I don't care if it sticks on the outside. I'm just trying to level it off, and I want it to be good and solid. In this area that I'm gluing this in, will actually be harder than the wood. So as long as I got enough CA glue in it, and as you can see I saturated it quite well, so it should be fine. It'll be dry in a minute or two, and then we'll be able to pull that block off, and once we pull that block off, I'll sand that. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes and then I'll come back. So very quickly, you know, I filled in a little bit more of this death clock bull crap. Filled that in like I said I was going to do. Sanded it back down. I filed this out. I chose to just use a file because it was really close and wasn't worth the effort of getting the router out and all just for that, and you know, that part works correctly. I glued in the holes. I re-drilled one for where the springs go. And this is like mounted temporarily, so the springs are in there, but you know, don't have tension on them yet. Won't need much tension because they're only going to have 2 strings to start with. I'll go ahead and put a couple of machine heads on there, and then once I install the machine heads, I'll put the I'll go get my other locking nut and then mount my locking nut on there. And anyway, so you can start to imagine it actually being a guitar again. But anyway, once I get this aligned, this is probably not anywhere near complete because as soon as I put the 2 strings on to have just to have a reference, and once I get that reference point, while I'm at it, what I'll do is I'll take a moment to mark the 2 outside strings with my mechanical pencil, so that I know where they lie here, so that I can go ahead and make all the arrangements. Once I get the neck set properly, which by the way, my rough measurement was really close. Like right now, it's within an 1/8 inch. I think I measured 25 3/8, if I'm not mistaken, is what it's supposed to be. And, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with one hand. I'll try. I'm going to latch on there. And this one is, this saddle is all the way forward, but in the back screw hole. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to do it, but anyway, that saddle is actually it's probably, yeah, it's 25 3/8, or almost exactly 25 3/8. I just hope that's going to be enough, and I'll know in a moment, or in a little while. I'll need to know if that's going to be close enough that I can adjust it without moving the saddle into the front screw, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to where I'm close to the center of the adjustments for the saddles on the bridge. And this is like a knockoff copy of a Floyd Rose. But once I get finished with this, I'll sell it. I'll auction it off probably. And, you know, later somebody may decide to put a real Floyd Rose in it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll get back to you, or get back with you as soon as I get at least the two machine heads, this machine head and this machine head, and the nut, locking that mounted. I didn't film installing the nut. I figure you guys already knew how to do that, but I installed the nut, and I went ahead and threw the tuners together. I assumed you guys already knew how to do that, but I put the tuners in. I went ahead and just put all the machine heads so that I could just mark all of them and drill them at once. And anyway, the machine heads are in now, and the nut is on. The bridge is temporarily in place with just a couple of springs, and now the next step is going to be to pop the neck in place and push it all the way back into the neck pocket, the new neck pocket, and then put a string on the 2E positions, the first and the 6th string, and just bring them up to enough tension that I can verify the line of intonation is near the center. It doesn't have to be exact, but near the center of the bridge, and to see if the neck needs to go this way, and to check the sideways alignment of the neck and head, because I still have to do some work on this pocket. As you can see where I've milled this is a smaller pocket than this, because it had way too much slop in it, and mine's a bit tight, which I'll open up momentarily. It'll be opened up just a touch, but I'm not going to do anything to it until I verify that the neck, the way the pocket is now, that the neck's not twisted. So I'll throw that together, and then I'll start filming again and show you what I'm talking about. The strings that I had that were like old used strings, I'm not going to waste a brand new set of strings doing this stuff, you know, aligning a fretboard and aligning the neck and all this stuff. They're going to get damaged anyway. So anyway, all I need is I needed a string on the outside and a string on the inside, or top and bottom, so I could use for a straight edge. And now I'm going to show you exactly what I was talking about. Like if you look up here, the string spacing, and that's because the bridge I got, it's about a 1/2 millimeter smaller than the neck. It's still close enough that it's a decent fit. But if you look here and you go down here, you should notice the string spacing is not the same, right? And I'll measure it in a moment to see how far off it is. but this neck is definitely twisted like this a little bit right now. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where it is, and then I'm going to take a measurement, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take a little bit off here until the neck can come in straight. And then once I get it to where I can align it straight, I'll mark it, and then once I get a good clean cut, I'll make some shims and shim it up good and tight. You can see what I mean about the crack there and there. Alright, it's not terrible for bolt-on neck, but still I'm going to get it closer than that. And again, the main thing is right now I'm just trying to make sure I get the neck aligned, and once I get the neck aligned, I'll pre-drill a couple of holes, and then I have to decide if I want to glue that neck in. I don't know how good a quality this neck is. I really don't. And I also don't even know where it came from. I didn't purchase it. Someone else did and brought it to me. So, but anyway, I'm going to I've marked this. I'm going to take my measurement, and I'm going to pop that neck off, and then I'm going to probably just use my wood chisel for now, just to scrape that out enough to where I can get it aligned and get some good marks on it, and then I'll start filming again. So now maybe it's a little bit more clear what I was talking about concerning the getting the neck centered. Of course, I mean, I don't care that it's not completely centered, but if you look here now, that's pretty close enough. And there are 4 screws bolted into it now, 4 bolts bolting it together. And now I have to decide if I want to glue the neck in, or if I just want to leave it like it is, and just finish the rest of the body out. But you can see, you know, I repaired the areas that I spoke about earlier. There's a few more areas that still need to be done. I had to route this out. I didn't film it because I'm by myself out here, but what I did was I marked this, and you guys saw the mark. I marked where it needed to go, and I took this, took my wood chisel, and I slowly chiseled the top about 1/4 of an inch or so, smooth, and filed it, and then I took it in there to my CNC table and clamped it up, and used the router to actually finish routing it out smooth and everything. But there it is, and it's not, I don't know if I would try to put a number on how close it is to being finished at this point, but I can say that right now I'm off to a good start, and it's definitely tons better than it was when it got here. So now the nut has a shim on one side, and it's flat on this side. After I filed it down, this side was too high, the other side was already too low. That wasn't my doing. And I don't have my capo, but if you look, I don't know if you can see that, but barely off the string. And now it's right and aligned, and I just need to decide if I want to glue the neck in or if I want to leave it. I checked it, and of course I don't have electronics in it, but it's really close. It's really close to being intonated on these 2 strings, so I got plenty of room.